The entire crowd went silent the moment her engine roared, because no one believed that a poor mechanic's daughter, driving a salvaged Mustang stitched together with scrap parts, could possibly finish the race, let alone win it. But Ava didn't hear their doubts. All she heard was her father's voice from years ago, telling her, "You don't need the world to believe in you, just believe in yourself." Ava grew up in a tiny garage on the edge of a small Canadian town. Her father, Mark, was a gentle man with calloused hands and a heart too soft for the world. They didn't have much. Most days ended with him fixing other people's cars so they could afford rent. Yet, every night, he'd teach Ava something new: how to listen to an engine, how to feel when a car was hurting, how to trust her hands even when she didn't trust herself. Their bond was built on grease, laughter, and dreams as old as the garage. When Mark found the wrecked Mustang behind a scrapyard, it looked more like a crushed tin can than a car. But Ava's eyes sparkled. She saw something more, something worth saving. Together they spent months rebuilding it. Every bolt she tightened carried her frustration, every panel she hammered straight carried her hope, and every late night in the cold garage carried her unspoken promise to her father, that one day, she'd race it and make him proud. Then everything changed. One winter morning, her father collapsed. The doctors said his heart was weak, too weak for long days of physical labor. The garage had to close. Their income disappeared, and yet, even lying in a hospital bed, Mark grabbed her hand and whispered, "Finish the Mustang. Don't stop now." So she didn't. Ava worked alone, tired, scared, unsure. Neighbors saw her struggling, but instead of offering help, the kids from town mocked her. "Look at her," they laughed, "a salvaged car and a girl who thinks she can race with the pros." At school, they called her Junkyard Girl. Online, they joked that she'd embarrass herself at the regional race. Some people even said she only entered because she wanted attention. But Ava stayed silent. She carried the weight of their words, but she carried her father's dream too, and the dream was heavier, so she chose to hold it tighter. The day of the race arrived cold and windy. The Mustang stood in the lineup, its paint uneven, its body a patchwork of repaired metal. Compared to the polished cars around her, it looked like an outsider. And so did Ava. People laughed openly now. Whose charity case is that? Does she really think she'll survive one lap? Ava didn't answer. She just sat behind the wheel, inhaled deeply, and reminded herself, she wasn't racing for them. She was racing for the man who taught her everything. When the flag dropped, the track exploded with noise. The other cars shot forward like rockets. Ava's Mustang hesitated for a split second, its old, rebuilt heart coughing through the cold air, then surged ahead. Lap after lap, Ava found her rhythm. She felt the car responding to her touch like it trusted her completely. But halfway through, disaster struck. On a tight turn, her right tire scraped the barrier, and the crowd burst into laughter. "Told you," someone yelled. "She's done." But Ava kept going. Her hands shook on the wheel. Her heartbeat pounded louder than the engine. She remembered her father's face, pale in the hospital bed, telling her not to stop. She remembered the nights she spent alone in the garage, crying quietly while tightening bolts. She remembered how everyone told her she didn't belong. And she pressed harder. The Mustang roared as if fueled by every tear she'd ever shed. She overtook one racer, then another, then another. Every pass silenced more voices. Every turn stole attention. Soon the laughter faded. People leaned forward, whispering to each other, because somehow, impossibly, the poor mechanic's daughter was climbing her way to the front. On the final lap, only one car stood ahead of her, a sleek, expensive machine driven by the wealthy favorite, Chase Turner. The same boy who once told her she didn't belong on a track, meant for real racers. Ava tightened her grip. The world around her blurred. The last straight stretch approached. She thought of her father, watching from his hospital room, hoping, praying, believing. She pushed the Mustang with everything she had left. For a second, it felt like the car might fall apart. For a second, she thought she might lose control. And then, just before the finish line, the Mustang surged forward and Ava shot ahead by inches. The audience gasped. Silence. Then an eruption of cheers so loud it shook the cold air. She had done it. She, the girl they mocked. She, the one they called junk. She, the daughter of a broken mechanic and a broken car. She won. Ava stepped out of the Mustang, her legs trembling, her eyes burning with tears she fought to hide. Reporters rushed toward her. Kids who once laughed now stared at her like she was a legend. Even Chase approached her, not smug, not arrogant, but humbled. "I was wrong about you," he admitted quietly. Ava didn't answer. She didn't need validation, not anymore. What she needed was waiting in the hospital. When she walked into her father's room later that evening, the trophy in her hand, he looked up with tears streaming down his tired face. "I told you," he whispered, voice breaking. "You just had to believe." Ava placed the trophy gently on his lap and leaned her head against his shoulder. "I believed," she whispered back, "because you did first." Their life didn't suddenly become easy. The garage didn't magically reopen, and the world didn't instantly change. But something far more important did. Ava changed. She learned that dreams aren't measured by money or perfection. They're measured by heart, and sometimes the most beautiful victories come from the most broken places. And in that small Canadian town, people would never again look at the salvaged Mustang, or the mechanic's daughter, the same way.